Britain in the 1960s was changing fast. The country was filled with new music, modern fashion, and a growing sense of confidence. While cities expanded and motorways stretched across the nation, British car makers were building some of the most elegant and ambitious cars the country had ever seen. Some of them looked stunning, some promised luxury beyond imagination, and some were meant to change Britain's automotive future forever. But strangely, many of these cars disappeared almost as quickly as they arrived. Today, most people barely remember them. So tonight, we're taking a quiet drive back through another lost chapter of British motoring history as we count down 10 British cars from the 1960s that vanished so fast people forgot they existed. And a few of these cars truly deserved better. Number 10. The Vanden Plas Princess 4-liter R. Built by Vanden Plas in 1964, this car was supposed to compete with luxury giants like Jaguar and Rover. At first glance, it certainly looked the part. The long body, polished wood dashboard, thick leather seats, and elegant chrome details gave it the feeling of a proper British limousine. Under the bonnet sat a powerful 3.9-liter Rolls-Royce engine, which sounded impressive for the time. Driving one felt smooth and relaxed. Quiet, too. Many people loved the comfort. In fact, some owners said it felt more refined than cars that cost far more. But there was a problem. The styling already looked old-fashioned by the mid-1960s. Buyers wanted modern shapes and sleeker designs, and the Princess felt stuck in another decade.
Sales stayed low, and before long, the car quietly faded away. Today, most people have never even heard of it. Number 9. The Humber Hawk Series 4. Back in 1961, Humber introduced the Hawk Series 4 as a large family saloon aimed at Britain's middle and upper classes. It was spacious, respectable, and incredibly comfortable. The front bench seats felt almost like a living room sofa, and the suspension handled rough British roads surprisingly well. Older drivers, especially, loved its calm driving experience. But younger buyers wanted excitement. The 1960s were becoming faster, sportier, and more modern. Cars like the Jaguar Mark II suddenly made traditional saloons feel dull. The Humber Hawk simply couldn't keep up with changing tastes, and despite being a familiar sight for a short time, it disappeared from British roads faster than many expected. Number 8. The Wolseley 6/110. There was a time when Wolseley represented quiet British prestige. The 6/110, launched in the early 1960s by the British Motor Corporation, carried that tradition proudly. It featured soft suspension, a smooth 6-cylinder engine, and a front grille that looked both serious and expensive. Police forces even used some of these cars because they were dependable and roomy. Families appreciated the comfort, especially on long motorway journeys. But once again, style became the problem. Compared to newer European rivals, the Wolseley looked heavy and outdated. Younger buyers ignored it completely. And slowly, the brand itself began losing relevance. Today, spotting one feels almost impossible. Number 7. The Singer Vogue. Now, this is one many people completely forgot existed. Produced by Singer, a division of the Roots Group, the Vogue was introduced as an upscale version of the Hillman Superminx. It had subtle tail fins, extra chrome, and a more luxurious interior. For many middle-class families, it offered affordable elegance without the high price tag of a Jaguar. The Vogue actually sold reasonably well for a short period. But there was one major issue. It never really stood out. It sat awkwardly between cheap family cars and true luxury models, meaning buyers often chose something else instead. As competition grew stronger throughout the 1960s, the Singer Vogue quietly disappeared into history. And today, even classic car fans rarely mention it. Number 6. The Austin 3-liter. When Austin launched the 3-liter in 1967, the company believed it had created the perfect executive car. It was large, comfortable, and packed with advanced engineering. The suspension system gave the car an incredibly soft ride, almost floating over bumps and potholes. Inside, there was plenty of wood trim and thick seating designed for long-distance comfort. But despite all that effort, buyers simply didn't connect with it. The styling looked awkward and bulky. Many people felt it lacked personality. Worse still, British Leyland was already facing growing problems behind the scenes, and confidence in some British brands was beginning to fade. The Austin 3-liter became one of those cars people forgot almost immediately after production ended. Today, it remains one of Britain's strangest luxury experiments.
Number 5, the Rover P5B Coupe. Now this car was different. The Rover P5B Coupe wasn't flashy or loud. It carried itself with quiet confidence. Introduced in the late 1960s, it featured a smooth Buick-derived V8 engine and one of the classiest interiors Britain ever produced. Government ministers famously used them, and for many years, they symbolized authority and sophistication. The driving experience felt relaxed and powerful at the same time. Owners loved the leather seats, walnut dashboard, and effortless motorway cruising. So why did it vanish? Because Rover's image slowly changed during the 1970s. Newer executive cars arrived, tastes evolved, and the once famous P5B began looking too formal for modern Britain. It didn't disappear because it was bad. It disappeared because the world around it changed. Number 4, the Daimler Majestic Major. This was one of Britain's most luxurious, forgotten cars. Built by Daimler in the early 1960s, the Majestic Major came fitted with a huge V8 engine, capable of impressive speed for such a large saloon. In fact, many people were shocked by how fast it actually was. Inside, it felt more like a gentleman's club than a car. There was polished wood everywhere, soft carpets, and seats designed for pure comfort. At the time, wealthy businessmen and officials admired its elegance. But there was a catch. The car was expensive to run and difficult to maintain. Fuel economy was poor, and changing market conditions slowly pushed buyers toward more modern alternatives. Before long, the Majestic Major became a rare sight. And today, many younger enthusiasts have never even heard its name.
Number 3, the Sunbeam Rapier Fastback. This car arrived during Britain's growing obsession with sporty styling. Built by the Roots Group, the Rapier Fastback combined sleek looks with practical everyday driving. The shape was genuinely attractive for its time. With its fastback roofline and sporty appearance, it almost looked European. Young buyers loved the image it projected, but unfortunately, the performance never fully matched the styling. The engines felt underpowered compared to rivals, and reliability issues slowly damaged its reputation. For a while, it looked like the future. Then, suddenly, it was gone. Today, the Rapier Fastback feels like one of Britain's forgotten, almost great cars. Number 2, the Riley 472. Riley once stood for quality British motoring, and the 472 tried hard to continue that tradition. Built during the early 1960s, it featured elegant styling, comfortable seating, and respectable performance for the era. Many professional drivers appreciated its reliability and smooth handling. At one point, it was considered a respectable alternative to larger luxury saloons. But sadly, the Riley brand itself was already struggling. As British Motor Corporation reorganized its lineup, Riley slowly lost its identity. The 472 became one of the final reminders of a once proud British manufacturer. And when production ended, the car vanished quietly from public memory.
Which brings us to number 1, the car that almost nobody remembers today, the Triumph 2000 Estate. When Triumph introduced the 2000 Estate in the mid-1960s, it looked like Britain had finally created the perfect luxury family car. It was stylish without looking flashy, practical without feeling boring, and refined enough to compete with expensive European rivals. The straight-six engine delivered smooth performance, while the cabin felt airy and modern. Families loved the space. Drivers loved the comfort. And yet, despite all its strengths, the car slowly disappeared from Britain's roads. Part of the reason was timing. The market was changing rapidly. Foreign manufacturers were entering Britain with newer ideas, better reliability, and stronger marketing. British brands struggled to adapt. And over time, many truly good cars were simply forgotten. The Triumph 2000 Estate became one of them. A car that once represented modern British confidence
now almost invisible to history. And perhaps that's what makes these cars so fascinating. They weren't all failures. Some were elegant, some were innovative, and some genuinely deserved to survive much longer than they did. But the 1960s moved quickly. Britain changed, drivers changed, and the roads changed too. These cars became quiet reminders of a different era, an era of polished chrome, soft leather seats, walnut dashboards, and long drives through a Britain that barely exists anymore. And maybe somewhere tonight, one of these forgotten machines is still sitting quietly in an old garage, waiting to be remembered again. Thanks for watching.